Hello, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Maya Green, and today we're going to be summarizing the last three videos: spiritual bloodlines, dark conception, and light conception. And we're also going to be weaving in what we spoke about in spiritual bloodlines, the four categories of spiritual enlightenment, so to speak. The first one is those who are powerful and they know it. So they have power and knowledge. And power really is love from a light conception. The second category is made of people who do not have the power. They were not born in a light conception and they know it. So they both have knowledge. And the ones that know that they don't have love, at least they have the knowledge, they can find it. The third category of people are those who have a lot of love but no knowledge. It's a very dangerous situation. They can easily get hurt. They usually waste and sell off their inheritances. They sell off a whole lot of great things that they have, or they reject a lot of great things that they have. They don't really enjoy them because they don't know how to keep them. They don't know how to grow them. And the fourth category is the most tragic. It's made up of people who don't have love and they do not even know that they don't have it. So they're completely unaware of the predicament that they're in, right? It's not funny, but it's just, a life. So let's look through each one, and I've done a chart here where I've numbered each category 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we're going to look at each category and begin to assess what kind of life experiences the people in these categories go through, and are they born out of a light or dark conception. So here goes. Category 1 is made up of people who have a lot of love in their lives and they have a lot of knowledge. So these are highly educated people born to loving parents. So if you have a mom or a dad who loves you very much, look at examples like Beyonce, Tiger Woods. Their fathers were so loving. He took them to tennis practice every day. That's for Tiger Woods. And Beyonce's dad took her to the studio every day to learn how to sing, how to dance. And it creates a powerful individual who knows, who doesn't just have the knowledge, but they also have the love, right? And if you are a parent who is very supportive and loving of your children, you ensure that they get the best in life. You're giving them a lot of love, and they're also getting a lot of knowledge. So over the years, they're going to grow and become the best in their fields. So you find people who are leaders in business, politics, in the military. Any type of good leader usually has come from a very good, loving family. Okay, and then at the very top of this chart, in this quadrant, you have people who are just full of so much love, health, and wealth. And that is how you should live your life for 30, 40, 50 years, always. A good example of someone in this category would be like an Oprah Winfrey, like a Barack Obama. They have a loving marriage, they have wealth, he's been president 2 terms, they have, health, they're still relatively young and healthy. That is the kind of lifestyle a lot of people aspire to. And it usually starts from love and knowledge. So a lot of factors go into this. And if you look at that quadrant, there are like 100 different points where, lines from love intersect with lines from knowledge. But I've only picked 4 points just to give you an example of what a life that has love and knowledge looks like. When you know your power, love is power, knowledge is power. When you know that you have all these things, you are unstoppable, and your life will end up with love, health, and wealth. Okay, let's move into the second category now. Those who do not have this loving power and they know it. So they're looking for this loving power, right? And how does this manifest in reality? So you find a lot of them who were born into homes where there was no love. The parents are not there, or they are orphans, or they've been abandoned, and they just manage to, scrabble through some kind of education. And maybe they have a high school diploma, so they end up doing menial jobs, cleaning here, flipping burgers there, and they earn a low wage, but there's no love in their lives. They're quite unhappy, they're quite miserable. Sometimes they manage to move into middle level earners, whereby maybe they have a degree this time as opposed to just a high school diploma. However, it's still very empty. So they're working 9 to 5. It's a rat race. They're miserable, and they have all the money. They may have the physical attributes, a house and all of that, but they don't have a loving home. They don't have, people that care about them. And that's the, what happens in this category. And they know something is missing. And if they, at this point, try to find love, they can actually get it. Okay, so let's move on to the third point in the second quadrant, which is people who have a lot of knowledge and they are earning a lot, but they have no love. So you find people here, they invent things like weapons of mass destruction, guns. I mean, for someone to sit down with a lot of knowledge about metals, maybe you're a mechanical engineer, you understand metallurgy, and you design a weapon that can kill somebody. I mean, you have that knowledge, but you have no love. You are full of hatred. And they can sell these weapons and become very, very wealthy. So you move on further down and you have people who are very knowledgeable about human psychology, and they become very wealthy out of criminal activities. They push drugs, they are drug barons, or they have, they go around looking for young girls and boys to recruit into their drug rings, to sell hard drugs to people. I don't think YouTube allows us to mention some of those drugs. So, you find people who are, into human trafficking. They understand human psychology, and they understand the system, they understand poverty, they understand wealth, and they look for young girls and boys to move them into different countries to exploit them. So these people have a lot of knowledge, but they have no love. They're full of so much hatred. If you manage to cross their paths, they're very dangerous. They would take advantage of any human being in their path to satisfy themselves. In the world today, we call them narcissists. If it gets too extreme, meaning they know who they are, but they have no love, they have no power, and they are aware. So they begin to just treat people like commodities, and they say they are narcissists, but really there's a spiritual bloodline that is lacking love. Okay, and that is the second box. In the third box, you have people who were born into a lot of love. They have a wonderful, heritage. But at the end of the day, because they'll have no knowledge, they don't know what this love is about. They don't even understand how to maintain it. They lose a lot of things. They run away from home. They reject their inheritance. A good example of someone in this category is Prince Harry, who, he's in a completely different kingdom where his title, his good, everything he's inherited, his palaces, everything has been rejected, and he's all by himself. He has a lovely wife, and I believe they can make it through, but he's like a fish out of water, and it's going to be quite difficult for him to move from the third category of no knowledge, but so much love, so many blessings, but he finds himself struggling in another man's land. That is what happens when people have love, have the power, and are ignorant of this power. It's very dangerous. They will misuse it, they will abuse it, they will throw it away until they come to their senses, like the prodigal son in the Bible, who had to get to the point where he was eating with pigs before he realized, I'll go back to my father's house. At least there, the servants can eat better than this. So look around you, there are a lot of people in that situation. You find a lot of African migrants walking through the Sahara Desert, through Libya, taking all sorts of insults. They don't know their power. Africa is such a beautiful place. You have wonderful countries, yes, and then they walk away from their homes. They reject their homes to go and be slaves somewhere else. That is what happens in the third category. They don't know their power. They are ignorant. And they will end up being used in another man's land as a slave. Well, it's a really dangerous and tragic situation. And the fourth one is one of the worst. It's absolutely the worst, not one of. This is a situation in which, out of all the four categories, in this situation where they don't have the love and they don't have the knowledge, their bodies will be affected. So it starts with chronic poverty. So you have a child born into absolute poverty. If one generation is poor and the next generation is rich, that's fine. But if there's generational poverty, father is poor, grandfather is poor, and great grandfather was also poor, then, what is the hope? So these children are born under a dark conception. There's no love. And they're now born into chronic poverty. So it begins to manifest physically as chronic poverty. Their bodies are struggling with hunger from a very young age. They go to bed hungry. They eat once a day. They eat maybe food that's not nutritious. You look at them, you can tell this child is not, well fed. Because apart from the fact that they were conceived in a dark conception, they are also in the fourth quadrant, where they have no love and they don't even know it, completely ignorant of what kind of knowledge they need to change their physical circumstances. If it gets so bad, it gets to a point where there is sickness. So you find them in the hospitals all the time. Sometimes the doctors don't even know what's wrong with these people. And again, lack of knowledge, lack of love. The doctor say, I don't know, go to another hospital. So they refer them to different hospitals. By the time that kind of sickness gets to a point where somebody is incapacitated, bedridden, or on a wheelchair, then you know that this is a very, very serious lack of love, lack of knowledge. You need to find it. And it's very hard, unless you have some loving hand from quadrant 1, 2, or 3 to pull you out. It's almost impossible, but again, it's not impossible. You can, with a lot of hard work, pull yourself out. So people in these quadrants, not only are they poor, chronically poor, they find themselves sick, suffering violence, domestic abuse. They find themselves addicted to cigarettes, or alcohol. So their bodies are affected. So by the time you see somebody who does not even look healthy, it's a telltale sign they're in quadrant 4. Spiritually, that bloodline lacks love and it lacks knowledge. Because if they know, they will take care of themselves better, they will eat better, they will look great. If they know, but they don't know, they don't have the knowledge. They don't have the love. There's nobody around who loves them enough to say, come along, let me help you, let me teach you. So when you find somebody addicted to anything, any alcohol, whatever, it's already a telltale sign that this bloodline has no love, no knowledge. Then it usually goes into court battles. You find them always in one fight or the other, always struggling to explain themselves here or there, incarceration, this and that, trouble left, right, and center. That is a danger sign. They need serious help. And because they are unaware, sometimes they think it's just life. Let me just go out. But that is not life, because people are in quadrant 1, enjoying themselves, going on holiday to holiday, being business leaders, and then somebody else is going to court every day, somebody else is going to hospital every day, somebody else is looking for the next drug that they are addicted to buy and destroy their bodies the more. So there's a problem. And then finally it ends in death, and premature death is any death before the age of 75, 70, 60. Anything outside 65, before 65, is a premature death. So by the time you have people who pass on before this age of 65, 70, 75, it's a telltale sign again that the bloodline, is in category 4. A dark conception, no knowledge, no love. Because if they were well taken care of, you look at, for example, the royal family. The Queen Mother lived to 101. The Queen lived to 96. Prince Philip lived to 94. Everybody is living long, 20 years beyond 70, 30 years beyond 70, 75. Because they have the knowledge and they have the love. They get the right things to eat and drink and to extend the life for as long as possible. So these are very, very important factors to understand. So that is basically a summary of spiritual bloodlines, the 4 categories. 1, those who know that they have love. 2, those who know that they don't have it and are still using it for bad, but they can at any point change. So all of these quadrants are very fluid. You can move from 1 to 4, 2 to 5 to 1, at any point in time based on your actions. So it's very important that you know at any point in time, where do you fit in? Are you in quadrant 1? Are you full of love and full of knowledge? Are you in quadrant 3? Do you have a lot of love, but you've made a lot of mistakes with the love that was given to you? You inherited things from your family, and at the end of the day, you have rejected them for no good reason. It's time to retrace your steps. Are you in quadrant 4? You don't have the knowledge to even manage your health. You don't have the knowledge to even, stay away from some addictive substances. You don't have the knowledge or the strength to win your court battles. Then you begin to look through your life, and you look at your experiences, and you begin to say, oh, this is where I am, this is where I'm not. And the root cause really is your bloodline. Is it a light conception, or is it a dark conception? And how can we change this? So this brings me to the end of this particular video, and it's a summary of the last 3 videos, just basically defining the 4 different bloodlines and the root causes of certain experiences in our lives. In the next 4 videos, I'll explain how to move from quadrants 2, 3, and 4 into quadrant 1. And of course, these things don't happen overnight. We're all doing the best we can. I'm also doing the best I can. I've been in quadrant 4 before. I've been in 3. I've been in 1. I've been in 2. And I've gotten to a point where I now understand how to get into quadrant 1 and stay there for as long as possible. You can't just get there and think it's all okay. No, you have to protect yourself. If you go to Barack Obama's house right now, I'm sure there's CCTV everywhere. There will be security. Every former president of the US, every former president of any country will have serious security. So when you get into quadrant 1, even if you didn't serve in politics, somebody like a Beyonce, for instance, I'm sure you can't just knock on her door and enter the house. No. So you get into quadrant 1, you must secure yourself physically. You have a team of security guards. You have CCTV. If your house still doesn't have CCTV, you can't be in quadrant 1, because you have not yet understood that your physical body, your physical protection is very important. Not only do you eat right, you ensure that people can't just walk into your compound, walk into your life without your knowledge or without your benefit, and they can't harm you. Do you understand? So I will teach you over the next 4 classes how to get into quadrant 1, how to stay there and enjoy it for 70, 80, 90 years of your life, so you can have a fantastic experience here on earth.